Good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday. It is Template Thursday with Tracy, and today we are going to be working through the card sketches just like we started last week in the catalog. So in our big annual catalog, if you go to the card design section, that would be page 22. At the bottom, there are all these different card sketches. So I love our catalog because it gives us card design ideas. So if you are like, oh, where should I start? What could I create? These give you great patterns. And then all throughout the catalog, when they show different products, the different card inspirations will be using these card sketches. So what I am doing with those each week is we are going through those. So we did number 1 last week. This week we're doing number 2. But what I have done is I have used the new card keeper kit box to hold all of my card patterns. So I just cut down the dividers that come with it so that I could hold more doing it the long way. And so I have all our card sketches. This was last week's. And then inside I have the different measurements on the card. I have different DSP templates and fun folds, and I just keep them all inside this lovely box. So if you don't have the card keeper kit, you'll want to check out my online store because it is in there, and it comes with a bunch of cards that you can put together, as well as dividers, labels, and the super cute box. It's a great gift for anybody getting into card making, and it's a great piece for your craft room if you want to make that pattern box like me. So I have just labeled from left to right the numbers. So we're going to do all 22 of these. We're going to do one every single week. So last week we did number 1. If you missed it, you can go back on, scroll back down and find that in the template. And today we're going to do number 2. So that is what we are going to do. So I've already cut our parts and pieces. So you're going to need some twine or thread. You're going to need a card base. You're going to need a piece of designer series paper or a embossed sheet of paper. Here are the measurements. So this one here is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. You're going to need some twine, somewhere around 24 inches. And then you're going to need a focal banner. And so this is the one I'm going to use, but you can also use a piece of paper, piece of cardstock that's somewhere around 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. So if you want to go ahead and take a screenshot of the materials that you will need, you can go ahead and do that. And then we are going to get started with today's card. So let me just put this up in the corner for us. The first thing we'll need is our card base. And so I'm just using basic white. We'll need some liquid adhesive. So I am using just some DSP from our 6x6 Full of Life paper collection. I love all of the bright, fun colors and patterns. They just look like a craft room to me, this one especially, right? And I love the polka dots. And then if you flip them over, we've got all of the basics on the back. They look watercolored. They're just beautiful. So that is what I'm using for today's designer series paper. Love those dots. So we're just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive right on the back, and we're going to center this. So this is a little bit smaller than a typical background layer. So it will show a little bit more of our cardstock, which is kind of fun, right? If you had a different color that you wanted really to show through, that is a good place for that. The other thing we're going to need is some adhesive. I like to use the Stampin' Seal Plus for this next step. And so we're gonna be adding our twine on our next step. So you can see in, let me get this close. In the number 2 pattern, there is a designer series paper, back layer, then they use some kind of thread or ribbon, and then they have the focal banner inside. So that is what we are doing today. And then once we make our pattern, I have some examples to show you how this card could look as you made it. So what I like to do is take my Stampin' Seal Plus and just kind of in the middle here, I add some, there, I think you can see it. I just add a couple of rows, not the whole length, just kind of in the middle. This is just gonna serve to be like a placeholder for our twine here. And so how I like to do it is I like to take 3 or 4 fingers and I like to just take, that's why I said it's about 24 inches when unrolled. But I just like to take my fingers and wrap this around like that 3rd time. Then I take some snips that I use just for my ribbons and cut that off. And then I kind of grab it in the middle here off of my fingers. And then I have kind of this figure 8 of a bow. We're going to put this at an angle so it kind of stickies in the middle. And then, so that's kind of like serving as a 3rd hand for me while I pull these apart a little bit so that we can kind of see all of the loops. And then you can pull them a little if you want, you know, them to be a little longer. Perfect. So that's all we're doing is just kind of laying that down so that adhesive we put just kind of holds it in place while we do our next step. So I'm going to use, you can use a focal banner. You can cut it about 2 3/4 by 1 3/4. And then on the example, what they did was they used a piece and then the ends were snipped. So you can just snip your ends like that on both sides to create that banner, or you can find a die cut that looks just like it. And so this die cut comes from this one here. This is from the Wildflower Designs set of dies. So I just die cut that piece. It's about those same measurements. And then we're just gonna add some dimensionals right to the back of this piece here. Peel those off. And then we're gonna just stick this right over our piece here. So now that's gonna hold in that twine in place. So now we've created our template number 2. You can, you know, play with those, cut down your ends if you need them a little bit shorter. But that becomes our template number 2 in the catalog of our sketch. The twine that I am using is from this 3-pack. It's called Baker's Twine 3-color pack, and it comes with Flirty Flamingo, Lemon Lolly, and Balmy Blue. So you get all 3 in the pack. I used the Lemon Lolly today. And just to give you some ideas, I want to show you how these could look in real life when you make this. You would stamp like your sentiment here. You could, of course, add inside pieces as well. This will be my template, so I will just take my sticky and put it right inside, and then this will be my template number 2. So whenever I'm flipping through that box that I showed you, it gives me all kinds of ideas, and then I'm like, oh, how did I make that? And instead of having to measure out each piece or look for the directions, they're just right there. And you can even just write them inside the card. I do that on lots of my patterns as well. So this will go into my pattern box, but look at what these can create. So I used the Thanks a Latte set and used that latte, lots of love, latte love, that coffee paper that we have. I used some stamps to create happy birthday wishes. You can add some embellishments, of course, and then our inside piece. So you can see where that pattern, our template, turns into a card. I also did a thank you version. This is using the same paper from that same pack. Made a thank you card with the Flirty Flamingo twine in that same pack. And we've got that inside there. So you can see, look at this template. And then of course I'm in the Christmas card spirit. So I made a cute snowman card using the same template and our new red and white striped twine. This one has lots of Wink of Stella on it, so it's super shiny. And then this one I just opened the tall way and did my inside. So it's all using that same template, but to create 3 cards that are all very different, using all different papers, but that one template can turn into all kinds of ideas. So use your annual catalog. There's so much inspiration, ideas in there to get your creativity flowing. Use these patterns and create your pattern box so that you always have those ideas to flip through when you're needing some, ooh, what could I make, right? And of course, all of these are on my Template Thursday playlist on YouTube if you missed one or need to catch up or need a review. And they're all on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com. So thanks so much for watching.